Hello everyone, I'm Joe Ackourey, and welcome to the Fly of the Week. For this episode, episode 53, I'll be tying a Baetis nymph, commonly known as the blueing olive nymph. It's a tiny nymph that typically starts hatching around the second week of March and lasting until mid-April. I typically like to tie it in sizes 18s and 20s, and it pretty much signifies the beginning of the hatching season, or the Mayfly hatching season, and you don't want to miss this one. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, here we go. The Baetis nymph, also commonly known as the blueing olive nymph. Start by placing your hook in the vise, making sure that the shank of the hook is parallel with the tabletop. And begin cover the entire shank of the hook with thread. I use an olive thread, 8/0 diameter. I'm going to wrap this back to the shank, at the back of the shank where the shank and the bend meet. And at that spot, that sweet spot, we're going to place our tails. The tail material we're going to use is a couple of fibers from the natural lemon wood duck flying feather. We're going to take, maybe 4 or 5 of these fibers. There's a nice group there. And we're going to tie them in with the natural ends jetting back. And we're going to make the length equal to the length of the shank of the hook and including the eye. Like so. Here we go. That looks pretty good. Flare them out a little bit. And continue wrapping once you've initially secured it. Wrap up the shank of the hook toward the eye, but don't crowd the eye. Yep, cover all that up. And then return your thread. So, our tails are in place. We have the right proportions. We chose lemon wood duck flank feather for the material. And now we're going to start building the abdomen. The abdomen comprises of 3 materials, the first of which is going to be a fine copper wire. And the copper wire is pretty much used as just to keep the fly together a little bit longer after several fish strikes. We're going to tie in the copper wire just like we did the tail material. We're going to tie the copper wire right up against the tail. And we're going to put that in my material clip. Now for the material, the quill body we're going to put in for the abdomen. We're going to use a section, one of these fibers. We're going to strip some peacock eye fiber completely bare. We're going to just take off one of the fibers, and when we strip this fiber, you'll notice it's like a two-tone color. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but there's a stripe, a dark stripe and a light stripe. That can only be found from the peacock eye, only, not the hurl down here, but the fiber directly in the peacock eye. Okay, so I already took the liberty of stripping one. You can use a pencil eraser to strip off the fuzz to expose that two-tone stripe, or you can use your fingers very carefully. So now I'm going to tie in the thicker end of the quill, of the peacock eye quill. Just tie that in and butt that right up against the tails and the copper wire, like so. And just let that hang back. Now, we have to build a little taper to this abdomen that we're building right now. This Baetis nymph has a very slender abdomen, so we don't want to bulk up too much. So I'm just going to dub in some of my fur blend, my blueing olive fur blend. Just a little bit. Make it nice and thin. It might require more than one application because I really, I'm thinning this out pretty good. So, and just slide up your noodle and gradually build a tapered body. Nice and gradual, guys. And just to make the taper, just overlap your wraps more and more. You can see the nice taper we're forming. And that should do it right there. And the length of the the length of the abdomen is going to be approximately equal to, 3/4 of the shank of the hook. Pretty much like that. So now our next material is we're going to grab our prepared quill, our Peacock quill, and we're going to wrap our quill body on top of the dubbed body, and we're going to pretty much space out very tiny spaces in between each wrap of the quill to expose some of that olive fur blend that we put underneath, and then secure it. Nice thin body, guys. That looks really good. Now grab our copper wire, and again, the only reason why we're adding copper wire is to add a little bit more strength to this abdomen, because it's a delicate fiber that we put in. That Peacock the Peacock fiber is pretty delicate, and a couple of strikes from a trout will definitely break it up. So this copper wire here will add a little more strength to that, so a little more reinforcement. So once you're done wrapping the copper wire, just clip off the excess. So in review, we have our tails, which are lemon wood duck flank fibers, 4 or 5 of those. Our abdomen, our tapered abdomen, is in 3 parts. We have our copper wire, we have our strip peacock eye fiber, which only comes from the eye, that 2-tone stripe, a light stripe and a dark stripe. You won't get that from down below the eye. It's only in that eye region. And then we dubbed our body with my bluing olive fur blend for the abdomen. We put that underneath the quill, and we made a slight taper to it. So now we're completely finished with the abdomen, and now we're going to work on the thorax. The first step to the thorax is our wing case material. For the wing case material, I like to use wild turkey tail quill feather. Just a section. A section approximately equal to, I'd say probably half the gap of the hook. Just slide that section out once you've cut it. So there's our section. Very narrow. Again, this is a small hook. You know, I typically tie these flies, these Baetis nymphs, in sizes 18s and 20s. So there's not much material to this fly. So with this section, I just want to describe it a little bit more to you. This is the cut end where I cut it off the quill. This is the natural end. This is the side that the turkey shows us. And this is the underside of the tail section, quill section. So we're going to tie in the quill section, the underside facing up. And we're going to make sure that we're all the way back up against the abdomen, and we definitely are. That looks really good. Clip off the excess turkey tail quill section because we don't need it. Now we're going to attach the legs. The legs are the same material that we used for the tail. We're going to use wood duck flank fibers. So we're going to cut off that whole bunch there. That looks like a good punch of fibers. They're all lined up for me, so there's no guesswork there and no work to do. Just make sure that the natural ends are jetting out past the eye of the hook. And we're going to tie that in. We're going to wrap our thread not tightly up against the eye, but like a 1/16 of an inch away from the eye. We don't want to crowd the eye. That looks good. I just put my fingernail underneath that bunch. I am a little bit close. Let me back off a little bit. Oh, that's perfect. And the length of the legs is going to be almost 3/4 of the shank of the hook. and then just clip off this excess material. Now we're going to build our thorax. I'm just going to use my Blue Wing Olive fur blend for that. And we're just going to dub some on. A lot heavier than what we did for the abdomen, because the thorax is going to be noticeably thicker than the abdomen. So once the needle is done, the noodle, we're going to start wrapping toward those legs, but we're not going to crowd it for any further up. We don't want to go up against the eye. We're just going to make another layer, prepare for another layer of the Blue Wing Olive fur blend, and then dub that on the thread nice. You can dub down pretty fine with this my fur blends. As you could see, again, I'm going to continue building the thorax up a little bit. That looks good right there, guys. Now I'm going to fold these legs back and separate them in equal bunches as close as I can. That looks good right there. And I'm going to just kind of lean them back a little bit and tie into them. Just kind of secure some wraps up against it to keep them back. And once I achieve that, I'm going to separate them a little bit more. And I'm going to bring my wing case forward, center it on the thorax, and there you have it. Once you have your thorax wing case cover secured, you can clip off the excess, cover up any exposed excess. Just cover it up nice and tie your finishing knot. That's pretty much it, guys. The fly is complete. Very nice. Put a drop of head cement on the finishing knot and the wing case. Let that absorb a little bit in there. And there you have it. The Baetis Nymph. Relatively easy fly to tie. Very effective. I love fishing this hatch. It typically starts, these nymphs start swimming up to the surface right around 11, 12 o'clock, just prior to hatching, which the Baetis start typically hatching in mid-March to mid-April. It's a nice little easy pattern to tie. Very effective. And I just want to say thanks for joining me today and for this episode of the Fly of the Week. We're going to continue tying through this life cycle, guys. My next episode 54, I believe, will be the emerger. The Baetis emerger, a must-see video. I'll show you guys a nice emerger pattern that'll work really well. So for episode 53 that we just finished, we've tied the Baetis Nymph, and we're going to progress into the hatch with the Baetis emerger in our next episode of the Fly of the Week. So thank you for joining me today, and looking forward to seeing the next episode. Tight lines, guys.